Welcome back to Disturbed Reality. Following the death of Pablo Escobar in 1993 and the subsequent decimation of his Medellin cartel, the narco landscape would drastically change in Latin America in the coming years. In the 1980s and 1990s, Colombian cartels like the Medellin and Cali cartels were at the forefront of the global cocaine trade. However, by the 1990s, due to increased pressure from law enforcement as well as the capture and deaths of high-profile cartel leaders, they would begin to lose leverage in global drug trafficking. Initially, what made Colombian cartels so powerful was that they had full control of their operations, meaning from growth of coca plants to the production of cocaine to then trafficking it directly into the USA, mainly through Florida. However, by the early 90s, following the death of Escobar, the Colombian cartel's trafficking routes into the USA were shut down, meaning the Colombian cartels no longer had full control over their operations. This would mean that they would have to alter their strategies. The declining influence of the Colombian cartels directly correlates with the rising drug cartels in Mexico throughout the 1990s. Colombian traffickers would strike deals with cartels in Mexico so that they could essentially act as couriers, trafficking their drugs into the USA via the border. However, the drug cartels in Mexico quickly garnered more and more influence over the Colombian traffickers, to the point to where the Colombians now worked for the Mexicans, which still remains the case to this day. Ultimately, Mexican cartels quickly diversifying their criminal rackets made them realize the Colombians needed them, more so than vice versa, and in doing so, they became the dominant force in the cocaine trade by the late 1990s. At the time, Amado Carrillo Fuentes, aka the Lord of the Skies, leader of the Juarez cartel, and Juan Garcia Abregu, leader of the Gulf cartel, were two instrumental figures in the Mexican drug cartel's growing dominance of the cocaine trade. However, Mexico's growing influence in the international drug trade came with a price. Since the late 1990s, Mexico has been rocked by the growth of such criminal elements, and the drug wars have produced a level of violence that few could have fathomed just over a couple of decades ago. There have been many comings and goings in the narco landscape since the turn of the 2000s, from the fall in prominence of both the Juarez and Tijuana cartels, to the disintegration of the original La Familia Michoacana, to the brutal war between the Gulf cartel and the Zetas, which ultimately decimated both cartels. However, one constant has remained: the Sinaloa cartel. They have remained one of the most powerful cartels in Mexico for nearly 3 decades at this point, despite various high-level capos being captured or killed, as well as suffering various internal conflicts over the years, most notably the split with the Beltran Leyva brothers in 2008. However, in 2024, one group potentially threatened the current structure of the Sinaloa cartel more than any other: Los Chapitos, a faction of the Sinaloa cartel run by the sons of El Chapo. Los Chapitos are led by Joaquin Guzman Lopez, Jesus Alfredo Guzman Salazar, and the true boss, Ivan Archivaldo Guzman Salazar. Everybody hates Los Chapitos, from law enforcement to many factions of the Sinaloa cartel. Mexican police and the military, as well as the DEA in recent years, seemed to have focused on the brothers, with Ovidio Guzman being captured for the final time in January of 2023 and then being extradited to the United States to face trial. To make matters worse, close Los Chapito ally and security chief Nestor Isidro Perez Salas, aka El Nini, also known as Chicken Little, was arrested in November of 2023 in a bust that was described as a huge blow to Los Chapitos. El Nini provided security for the brothers, as well as running a faction of sicarios within Los Chapitos, known as Los Ninis. Los Chapitos have developed the reputation of being among some of the most brutal leaders within the Sinaloa cartel, and with the fentanyl epidemic being front page news in the States, a drug in which Los Chapitos are heavily involved in trafficking, they are in the crosshairs of the US authorities. Not only are the law targeting Los Chapitos, within the Sinaloa cartel, they seem to be making more enemies than allies. Most notably, longtime Sinaloan kingpin Ismael Zambada has been at odds with the boys, which has resulted in much bloodshed in the border states of Sonora and Baja California. Sicarios loyal to Los Chapitos, such as Los Ninis, have been fighting a faction known as Los Rusos, the Russians, who are loyal to Ismael Zambada. Los Chapitos are even beefing with their own relatives, notably the older brother of their father El Chapo, Ariano Guzman Lorera, aka El Guano. Not too much is known about El Guano, however, he has been characterized, unlike his brother, of liking to keep a very low profile, and tends to avoid parties or social gatherings. Reports indicate that Ariano Guzman is not well regarded in his homeland, as he is accused of being in permanent conflict with other cells of the cartel. He is also referred to as the true lord of the Sierra, and although info on him is scarce, it has been said that he is cold and intimidating, to the point of even being accused of having killed his half-brother, Ernesto Guzman Hidalgo, on suspicion of him having leaked information that led to the arrest of his brother El Chapo. The US Department of State is offering a reward of $5 million to anyone who provides information on his whereabouts. After the capture of his brother in 2016, Ariano Guzman, aka El Guano, was designated as the person responsible for criminal operations in Sinaloa, which is why he is being pursued by the DEA in the USA. El Guano and his men predominantly operate in the Golden Triangle region of northwest Mexico, which consists of Durango, Chihuahua and Sinaloa states, the cradle of Mexican drug trafficking. In this area, El Guano has been in territorial disputes with Los Chapitos, and an increase in violence due to this tension seems inevitable. In the early hours of the 21st of March 2024, there was a fierce confrontation between the two factions in Sierra de Badiraguato in Sinaloa. At the scene of the confrontation were the remains of a charred pickup truck, dozens of bullet casings, and the gruesome display of the severed heads of 3 people who had been left next to a narco message. The narco banner read, "This is what is going to happen to all of the bastards who look for guano. Sincerely, CDG. CDG refers to Gente del Guano, or in English, Guano's people. This message was directed at Los Chapitos. Los Chapitos, however, are not ones for diplomatic solutions, and only a day after the shootout, gunmen belonging to Los Chapitos conducted a mass kidnapping in Sinaloa. Around 66 people were kidnapped in Sinaloa on the 22nd of March 2024, with some being relatives and acquaintances of Ariano Guzman. Among the kidnapped were also women and children. Over the following days, the captured victims would be released, and as of the 25th of March, 58 of the 66 victims were released. I've still yet to find confirmation on the final 8 who remained in captivity beyond the 25th of March. They say blood is thicker than water, though it appears that El Guano and Los Chapitos didn't get the memo. Whether the tensions escalate beyond this point is anyone's guess. Wherever Los Chapitos go, violence follows, and there have been no better examples than the border states of Sonora and Baja California. As mentioned, sicarios loyal to Los Chapitos have been fighting against rival factions loyal to Ismael El Mayo Zambada in the region for quite some time, as well as against the Caborca cartel. However, in recent weeks, new conflicts in the region have emerged. Former allies of Los Chapitos, Los Salazars, have turned their back on their old partners and have gone to war with them. It appears that the war worsened in November of 2023 when Los Salazars left a badly burned body on public display along with a narco banner calling out Ivan Guzman for being a traitor. Since then, shootouts between the two groups have been commonplace in Sonora. A recent confrontation between Los Salazars and Los Chapitos took place in a Jakarta bar in Sonora. There, during the early hours of the 28th of January 2024, gunmen indiscriminately opened fire on the attendees, killing at least 3 people in the process. A month after the attack, a video circulated on social media of 8 people beheaded, 1 more lying on the ground, lifeless, and another being interrogated and tortured by alleged members of Los Chapitos. The war between Los Chapitos and the Salazars has unsurprisingly already generated numerous graphic clips of torture and murder, all filmed for the purpose of propaganda and to spread fear among those involved, as well as the general public. Los Chapitos have also broken away from another local group named Los Cazadores, who have subsequently taken the side of the Salazars and have joined the fight against Los Chapitos. Los Pelones, who work for Los Chapitos, have been the group largely responsible for battling against both Los Cazadores and Los Salazars in Sonora. Los Pelones are led by a mysterious figure only known as Omar Felix, or El Pelón de Sonoita, or El 08. He has been described by authorities as one of the main violence generators in the region. On the 7th of April 2024, a new graphic propaganda clip was released by Los Salazars, which detailed the horrific execution of a suspected member of Los Chapitos. For me, it's the worst clip to come out of the conflict to date. But nevertheless, what happens in the actual video? When I watched this video for the first time, my main takeaway was that it was shot and edited in a way that perfectly encapsulates the brutal reality of working as a sicario for a drug cartel in Mexico. I feel like this is one of those videos as to where my description won't do justice to how bad and messed up it is, especially due to how short the clip itself is. Many will assume it's a quote-unquote tame cartel video, however, for me, it's absolutely awful. The clip is also shot in relatively good quality for a cartel video. As you play the video, you are greeted with the sight of 3 young men, sicarios who were members of Los Pelones working for Los Chapitos. 2 of the men can be seen sitting in a truck, and 1 can be seen standing outside with the door open. The men were comfortable and were having fun with one another, just relaxing like any of us would with our boys. They seem to be joking with each other, and the sicario filming seems to be taking the video, possibly for social media. A song has been dubbed over this section of a video. The song is called Alucin by a group named Grupo Marca Registrada. The song is catchy and has a club-type vibe, and the lyrics brag about a man who has many luxuries and who can wow any woman. The type of dream one would say is sold to the youngsters who join these cartels. The initial few seconds of a video is just like your regular cartel flexing clip. However, things then take a dark turn. Shortly after the video was taken, the 3 men were captured by members of the Salazars and Los Cazadores, and were presumably all killed. You only see the murder of one of the captives on camera, though it's utterly horrific. The footage of the sicarios having fun was edited into the video by the killers as a way to mock them. It shows the footage of the men having fun, and then a black slide plays with text that reads después, or in English, after. So essentially, the footage is edited as if it's a before and after video. After the segment showing the men having fun, and then the after slide, it then shows one of the men in a truly horrific situation. The scene is shot at the dead of night in a wooded area, much like many other cartel videos. You see that the captive has been completely subdued, and I'm assuming that he has been tied up, as he isn't showing any fight to escape his grave situation. The man is essentially in a hole or a ditch, and he has been buried under a pile of debris and branches. His head is sticking out above the debris, and he has a tire placed around his head. You see the victim's head protrude through the middle of the tire. A sicario then menacingly walks up to the victim with a plastic container in hand, and he then proceeds to pour clear liquid into the hole and all over the victim's face. Once the liquid has been poured onto the victim, the Sicario filming gets closer to the captive, and the poor man looks up to the camera with a look of utter dejection on his face. A Sicario then places some dry sticks around the victim's head. At this point, the captive then meets an utterly depraved demise. A Sicario drops a match in the debris pile, and it goes up in flames, all while the victim is still alive and conscious. The music that has been playing throughout the video then stops, and you hear the snapple, crack and pop of the fire, and also hear Sicarios in the background talking casually amongst themselves, while also laughing at the horrific act of cruelty in which they have just perpetrated. Initially, you only hear the crackle of the fire and the Sicarios nattering. Then out of nowhere, you hear the most pain-induced scream I've heard in a long time coming from the fire. It's a mix of roaring and screaming. It's utterly horrific. The screams get deeper and deeper and deeper. As the flames continue to engulf the victim, the screams continue to get more and more violent until the man can no longer scream. He has to inhale, and the extreme heat, along with the toxic black smoke from the burning tire, causes the victim to then make extremely loud exhale sounds. It's incredibly hard to explain the sound, but it's like violent coughing mixed with raspy exhales. If life leaving a person's body had a sound, this would be it. You also see the burning pile of debris move as the man beneath tries to struggle his way out, but it's way too late. After a short while, the man's exhales become quieter and quieter. You then hear a few bubbling sounds, possibly mucus bubbling due to the extreme heat, and then no sounds whatsoever. The video then goes quiet. The Sicario stop talking, and all you hear is the sounds of the fire as the Sicarios look on. Again, upon my description of this video, some may think it sounds tame compared to other cartel videos. However, videos involving burning always get to me. The screams of a person who is burning alive as flesh melts from their body are possibly the worst screams you will ever hear. This video is no exception to that. It's utterly horrific. It wasn't that long ago, only a couple of weeks ago, when I made my last video on the ongoing situation in Sonora, and I believe I speculated then that more than likely we will see other graphic videos from the region, and here we are, right on cue, another graphic video. When you think about it, it's sad to be able to even predict that, but what's even sadder is that it doesn't take a genius to predict that. You know, there were always going to be more videos coming out of Sonora due to the ongoing situation and the amount of conflicts that are currently going down there. You know, it seems to be Los Chapitos versus everybody right now, and they don't seem to be taking a backward step, which ultimately is only going to result in more violence. But, you know, that is what we cover, and the unfortunate reality is I can carry on doing this for a long time. But anyway, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it, if you can enjoy this sort of content. Apologies if I sounded a little different in this video. My voice recently has been a little hoarse, so to speak. Maybe I'm coming down with something, but yeah, this video was a struggle to record. So apologies if I sound a little different. That's my bad. I think I may be coming down with something, but yeah, we shall see. But anyway, thank you guys as well for the support. It's much appreciated. If you're new here, if you could subscribe, that would be great. If you want to follow me on Twitter to recommend any cases, the link will be in the pinned comment. Also, a link to my Twitch will be there, as well as a link to my Patreon. Once again, guys, thank you for the support. And as always, stay safe. And I'll catch you on the next one.